What's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to expose how the politicians govern us in a way that is basically not governing at all, allowing horrible things to happen, and then showing up to say, "Hey, guess what? We can help you. Look what we can do. We can try to help fix this for you guys." Oh, I can't believe this happened to you. Meanwhile, the whole point would be for you to prevent bad things to happen. You take our money, we give you our money in hopes that you will get ahead of things that happen that are bad for us. But that's not what they do. They bank the money, they launder the money, they reinvest the money in themselves, and then whenever bad stuff happens, then there's a mad dash scramble. So it's Black conservative perspective. Links will be down in the description. Anything that's sourced in here will be down in the description and check it out. I'm an America First channel. You guys know what you need to do. I need you to press the button, comment, do the things. I need that stuff to happen. I need support. I just started. Appreciate you. Now let's check it out.
Cleaned out and protected. You got to take care of the floors. You know, the floors of the forests. Very important. You look at other countries where they do it differently, and it's a whole different story. I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we have a much different, we're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem. And when it is, it's a very small problem. So I know everybody's looking at that, to that end, and it's going to work out.
A few years later.
This in an environment that you're used to seeing. I live here. I come to the Palisades, and now I'm seeing buildings that I've driven by for years no longer exist. Right over there, one of the shishiest shopping malls in LA, and there have been little spot fires popping up around that. So far, that has not gone up. But you can just...
I'm 77 years old, man. I can't walk up these hills. It's like Mount Everest there. It's like, pretty steep. So, it's just, I posted this on X, but Sarah was on with her 8-year-old niece last night. And she came out, I'm sorry, just, one day you're swimming in the pool and the next day it's all gone. But she came out with her little Yeti piggy bank for us to rebuild our house.
Oh my gosh, James Woods, we all hope that you will be able to rebuild your house, maybe starting with that little Yeti piggy bank, and we're just glad that you're okay.
Now listen, I know Finland and California are very different places, okay? So I'm not trying to equate the two into, oh, well, Finland does such a great job. They don't have any forest fires. What's going on in California? It's obviously two different climates. I don't want to bust it up too bad on that point alone, but did you hear what he said? The president of Finland said we work very hard on raking, cleaning, taking care of the forest floors. I just had to say floors because it sounded silly. The 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 grounds around the forest have to be tended to. And let me guess, it's in California. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a wild stab at the fact that the place that has a map for human shit to avoid, maybe they might not be taking care of the forest ground as well as they possibly could be. And that's my point. It's just, there's a lot of things that need to be done to make sure that that forest can't catch fire. There's other things that they can do. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not a fireman. I don't, so maybe I don't know. I'm not a fireman, so maybe I'm not able to identify what a fire is. Maybe I need to go and become a fireman, then I'll be like, "Ooh, that's orange and red and it like flickers and ooh, ouchie, hot." That's fire, I think maybe, but maybe I have to go to school first. Maybe I gotta go and figure that out. I don't know. Man. I'll let me Google it And let's get back to the video, and I'll look into it, and I'll tell you whether or not I'm allowed to say that that's fire or not. Hold on, give me 1 second.
But don't worry though. Don't worry though. Again, Democrats are in charge, and not only are Democrats in charge, remember, Democrats, these are the same people that support diversity, equity, inclusion, okay? Which is supposed to help stop these types of things, okay? Because that's important. Having a diverse fire department is important, says the fire chief of Los Angeles.
I'm super inspired.
She took time out of her already busy schedule to tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women right now. She's already looking at ways to change that. She's quick to point out that doing so has a greater purpose, attracting the best and brightest for the job.
They feel included, they feel valued, and they feel part of a cohesive team.
The chief also checks another box when it comes to inclusivity and diversity at this department. She's a proud member of the LGBTQ community.
That just kind of opens the door of people that thought, wow, I didn't even know that that was an opportunity for me.
We are hosting our new employee orientation, and our focus is to teach our new employees for them to understand cultural competency, identify implicit and unconscious bias, and be aware of the importance of us having a diverse and inclusive workforce.
Diversity is important because the different people bring different lenses to their job, and those different ideas, those different lenses are important to have the best practices for our industry.
We have people.
Geez, I want to talk about my white privilege so badly. I graduated North Hollywood High with a 1.7 GPA. I could not find a job. I walked to a fire station in North Hollywood. I was 19. I was living in the garage of my family home. My mom was on welfare and food stamps, and I said, can I get a job as a fireman? And they said, no, because you're not black, Hispanic, or a woman. We'll see you in about 7 years. And I went to a construction site and dug ditches and picked up garbage for the next 7 years. I got a letter in the mail sent to my father's house saying, your time has come to do the written exam for the LA Fire Department. I took it, and I was standing in line, and I had a young woman of color standing behind me in line, and I said, just out of curiosity, when did you sign up to become a fireman? Because I did it, or a person, 7 years ago, and she said, Wednesday. That is an example of my white privilege.
See, it's crazy because you know about wildfires and you know how many forests there are across the entire world. Do you know how many forests there are? Do you know how many trees and forests there are in other countries, not just America, everywhere? And like, why is California just every year just constantly just burning to the ground? Like these wildfires are predictable, they're preventable. There's I just don't I'm just at a loss of words. I just don't really understand. Like what and then you have people that warn you. You have other countries that have force in this type of way, warning you and telling you what you need to do and what needs to happen to prevent these types of things from happening because they don't have those problems. Then Donald Trump, whenever he was president in 2019, I think there's going to be some quotes here coming up pretty soon here. Yeah, I'll include the quotes from like 2019 when Trump was president, and he was talking directly to Gavin Newsom, saying, "Hey." Gavin was the governor then, I believe. I believe it was directly to Gavin Newsom saying, dude, listen, here's what I learned talking to other world leaders. I suggest this, but what do you think Gavin Newsom did? Oh, Trump's such an idiot. He doesn't know anything. He's not a fireman. Is he a fireman? Oh, now all of a sudden Trump knows about fires. Oh, he just knows everything, huh? Meanwhile, California is burning in the background behind Gavin Newsom. Like, I'm not going to listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just some billionaire rich kid that doesn't know anything. I'm not going to take any of his advice. Say what? Say what now? What? California's on fire again? Oh shit. Maybe we should have did some things to maybe try to prevent those fires from happening. And then the DEI stuff with just needing what you need the fire persons. You need the best you need the best firemen. You need the best possible firemen capable of dealing with the stuff with the most experience. You don't need to check quotas off of okay, how many women do we have that can't possibly carry the equipment that needs to be carried to be a fireman. How many women do we need that are 5'4" and weigh 127 pounds and couldn't even lift their own body weight? How many of them do we need on the wildfire task force before we realize that we're actually not helping anything and we're not able to put out these fires? And then you have the mayor. The mayor is in Ghana for the celebration of the presidential victory for the president of Ghana. That's where she's at while California is burning. Because that makes sense. Because that's just a Democrat thing to do.
Yeah. So it seems as if California's wildfire situation is in good hands, right? It's in good hands because you have a woke fire chief that is worried about diversity, equity, inclusion fighting these wildfires. Except that seems to not actually be the case because the residents of LA, the people there, are extremely concerned and frustrated by the fact that these wildfires continue to occur. And when they do occur, it seems as if there's absolutely nothing that can be done about it. Okay. And it doesn't help that you have Democrats, like, for example, the mayor of LA literally going missing, right? She's on a trip in Ghana, apparently for their president's inauguration. But again, don't worry. She cut the fire department budget about $17 million before she left, right? It's in good hands. The budget is cut and you have a woke DEI fire chief. So it is in good hands, right? It's in good hands. Yeah, that's what's currently happening here. I don't know if the LA mayor is going to go to President Trump's inauguration, but for whatever reason, she feels the need to go all across the world to attend the inauguration of the president of Ghana, as if that has anything to do whatsoever with what's going on in her own city as it literally burns to the ground, okay? And residents are lashing out at her, okay? They are upset, they're mad because she is nowhere to be found, okay? But hey, this is kind of what they voted for.
I needed to stop real quick to make sure that you understood what you just heard. Yes, Karen Bass, before she left her city in California to go celebrate the victory of the president of Ghana for God knows what reason that could be. The taxpayers of California paid for for Karen Bass to go celebrate the victory of the president of Ghana, and before she did that, she cut 17.4, was it 17 point whatever, 17 plus $1 million from the fire department of her town. You know that town, you know that city, you know that state that is constantly on fire. Every year we hear people crying about their businesses being destroyed and how the place is just like, and then you see those videos of it looking like something from Silent Hill, and it's just like absolute, just you that place. Yeah, she just cut $17 million from it because who needs more money to fight a problem that they can't ever seem to figure out how to prevent or reduce the severity of? It's just like they can't figure it out, guys. They can't figure it out. So you know what we should do? Let's take money away from it and go to Ghana to high five the president of Ghana. What the what? Okay. Okay. I guess Democrats got a Democrat.
50 years, 49 for me, of being born and raised in the Palisades, hardworking family. Everyone who lives in the Palisades is there because they love the Palisades. And for someone to be in charge of my town, where were you?
You're certainly
Where were you when the decisions should have been made on how to get in and out of places? When the fire, I wish she were sitting across from me to answer these questions. She's not. And so I don't have an answer for you what my emotional toll is today, because I can tell you what the weather patterns are. Your meteorologist can tell you. If you live here and you run a city, figure it out. If you want to be the mayor of a city like Los Angeles, you're in charge of some really important things, and you just let it go.
On the screen right now, we're looking.
Yeah, that's Democrat governance, guys. That's Democrat governance, and it only gets worse. It only gets worse. But let's read some of the backlash here. Razan, why are you in Ghana? One person commented on X. Hey, Karen, how's Ghana? Another person asked. LA, you ask. Yeah, it's burning to the effing ground, but it's better you're not here anyways because you're useless. You're a disgrace and an embarrassment to our country. You need to resign, you incompetent fool. Right? Again, it's amazing how they realize that Democrats are incompetent when it comes to actually governing, right? But, Trump was talking about this for years, right? He was warning Gavin Newsom about this stuff. This is what he said back in 2019. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has done a terrible job of forest management. I told him from the first day we met that he must clean his forest floors regardless of what his bosses, the environmentalists, demand of him. Must also do burns and cut fire stoppers. Every year as the fires rage and California burns, it is the same thing. And then he comes to the federal government for money, help. No more. Get your act together, governor. You don't see close to the level of burn in other states, but our teams are working well together in putting these massive and mini fires out. Great firefighters also open up the ridiculously closed water lanes coming down from the north. Don't pour it out into the Pacific Ocean. Should be done immediately. California desperately needs water, and you can have it now. Yeah, so Trump has been warning about this for the longest time. For the longest time, Trump has been warning about the mismanagement of wildfires due to the incompetence of the Democrat Party. Okay? But nobody listens, right? Nobody listens.
Exactly. Maintenance has to be done constantly. You have to constantly be maintaining those forests. If, you know, it'd be one thing if it only happened every once in a while and like once every 10 years we get a bad forest fire, but get a bad wildfire in California. It's like, damn, man, why'd that happen? That just really stinks. It happens it happens quarterly. And if something happens so often, you have to be able to find the reason in the core crux of what is causing this to continually happen over and over and over again. And if you can't figure that out, you shouldn't be in charge. I'm not a smart man. I am borderline retarded. I am delayed. And I know for a fact that if you have very large forests in dry areas that have heat and high temperatures and things like that, you better be very aware of what is on the forest ground. I cannot say forest floors. It just does not sound right. It sounded hilarious having Trump say clean the floors of the forest. It just meant I can't say it. Anyway, if the regular common person knows we're gonna have to clean up the ground and clean up the tinder that is all over the ground. I mean, it's basic like fire making. If you're gonna leave debris and tinder all over the ground of a dry forest, what do you think is going to happen? You just have to do maintenance and leave it to the state of California, a place that allows everyone to shit in the streets. And instead of trying to fix it, curb it, put porta potties up, put more porta potties than you ever seen in your entire life, instead of fixing it like that, you'll build a map so people can avoid stepping in human shit. Instead of telling people to not do drugs, instead of taking the drugs away, instead of giving harsh punishments for your drug addiction, no, we'll open up a clinic, a little center where you can go inside and go into a little cubicle and kill yourself with drugs. That's the fix. That's how we'll fix it. I mean, it's just and listen, I'm not a Republican, guys. I'm not a conservative. I do lean very conservative, obviously, clearly, but I'm an America First guy. I'm a common sense working class person. I'm a middle class, lower middle class working person. These are just common sense things. I don't do this stuff for a living. I do something else for a living. I've done something else for 20, 30 years for a living, so I have my expertise in something else. But I mean, I don't have to be a fireman to know that fire is hot. I don't need to be a forest, a forest management ranger to know that if you leave tinder and debris all over the forest floors, that could turn into a problem. And with all that said, if you have a place that is constantly having problems, like yearly, bi-yearly, just if that's gonna keep happening, would you not go way above and beyond farther than anyone else has ever gone to clean that forest to make sure that there's nothing could possibly happen. And then if whenever accidents happen, at least we can say we did everything we could possibly do to try to make that not happen. And at least then if it does happen, you have the best and the brightest built on a meritocracy of the best fire people to ever assembled, because that is a hotbed for wildfires and a place where we would need the best and the brightest fire people that can go and handle that business. But no, it's the land of DEI. So you have a bunch of idiots running around not qualified for the job and dealing with the worst possible scenario for said job. That is Democrat management. That is how they run things. They'll cut the budget on something that's needed and then wonder why those things went bad. And then what they'll do is they'll blame the other side and say, "Well, Republicans wouldn't let us do what we wanted to do, so we had to just do this." It's pathetic. Republicans, they're coming around. They're coming around, so I don't bash them quite as much as I used to. But they do dumb shit too, believe me, they do dumb shit too, but not nearly as bad as the Democrats. The Democrats are just so incompetent. It's sickening. Now, let's hear last little bit and let's end.
And these people just continue to vote for the same incompetence over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. Now I want to play this clip of Rick Caruso, who ran for mayor of Los Angeles against Karen Bass. Karen Bass, a far left progressive woman. Rick Caruso, a moderate Democrat, okay, a more sane Democrat, if that even exists. He's going to talk about the mismanagement here, and the things that he's going to say, again, it really, really, really speaks to the incompetence of the Democrat Party and the fact that they just let this city run out of water.
The Palisades Villages, which is owned by Rick Caruso, Rick Caruso joins us now live on the phone. Rick, thanks so much for being with us. What are you seeing in terms of your property tonight?
Well, hi, Alex. Thanks for covering this so well. Listen, it's a disaster to the 100th degree. It's beyond anything I think any of us could have ever imagined. But my heart goes out, obviously, to the people with their homes, and I'm watching the small businesses around us go up in flames. This is people's livelihoods, so it's devastating. But what is most concerning to me is our first responders and our firefighters who are trying to battle this. There's no water in the Palisades. There's no water coming out of the fire hydrants. This is an absolute mismanagement by the city. It's not the firefighters' fault, but it's by the city. And I'm going to be very honest. We've got a mayor that's out of the country, and we've got a city that's burning, and there's no resources to put out fires. So if you look at your pictures, you don't see the firefighters there because there's nothing they can do. And it looks like we're in a third world country here. Mm-hmm. And we've got a lot of tough questions that we need to ask the mayor and the city council and our representatives and the county representatives. Why didn't you work to mitigate this? What was your brush mitigation program? I heard you earlier talking about it's been dry because there hasn't been rain. That's not the biggest problem here. The brush up in these hills that are controlled by the city and the county, I would bet you that if they haven't been handled, mitigated, pruned, removed for probably 30 or 40 years. This was a disaster waiting to happen. And what's predictable is preventable. And who's paying the price are all of these people in their homes and their businesses tonight.
So the firemen get there, and there is no water coming from the fire hydrants. This isn't an accident, folks. This isn't something that just happened. Oh, oopsies. We made a bunch of oopsies, a bunch of oversights. That's all. We just made a bunch of little silly little mistakes. We just cut funding from the fire department. We established DEI, so we have the least capable fire people available. We don't heed any of the warnings about maintaining the floors of the forest. You just heard Rick Caruso say that the brush that's up on top of that hill, because he's a developer, so he builds all these buildings, he builds all these houses, he's He's a real estate guy. He's a rich guy, whatever. He tried beating Karen Bass when he trying to run for mayor. I don't know what type of guy he is. It's irrelevant. But all I'm saying is I don't know how true it is, but he's the one that's there developing properties there. He said they haven't maintained or done anything with that brush that could cause those fires for over 30 years. For over 30 years, that stuff's been building up there, and he knew that that was going to happen. And it, like just like he said, if it's predictable, then it's preventable. And all this stuff was preventable, and they chose not to prevent it. And each year it catches on fire, and each year they need more and more help. Now, this is where it gets strange for me. Now, you can call me a crazy conspiracy theorist all you want. What do you think happens whenever all this devastation happens? Guess what we need after the government is incompetent and doesn't do their job to protect the citizens and do the maintenance that they need to do with our infrastructure and everything that we do. You know, America first stuff, spending money on our streets, on our forests, and our neighborhoods. Instead, we send billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine and other nations for wars and regime changes and all that dumb stuff. So then, when this place inevitably burns to the ground, everyone needs what? What do they need now? Now we need the government to come in and wave their magic money wand and fix everything. When if they would have just done everything to begin with, it like they should have, governed to begin with, we wouldn't need all this extra stuff. So it's a never-ending cycle of always needing the government. They take all of our money, they launder it, use it as bribes, send it all over the world, do whatever they're going to do with it, allow catastrophes to happen at home with us. So we have to then go, hey, government, what's going on? You have to help us. And then the government prints more and more money to send more and more money out. And then the cycle just continues over and over and over again. It's that's why my favorite quote, what Reagan said, those are the most dangerous words in the English language. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. These people do these things on purpose. They allow this stuff to burn to the ground. They hire a bunch of people that aren't capable of doing it. They allow the place to run out of water so you can't put the fires out. And then now the federal government is going to have to come in and give millions and hundreds of millions of dollars of aid to California. And then you know what happens then? The people that have to come in and clean up and rebuild everything, guess who gets those contracts? Guess who gets those overpaid, ridiculously charged contracts? All the friends of the politicians of California, all the Democrat friends that own the cleanup business and the forest restoration businesses, they get the jobs. And maybe that job should cost maybe I'm just throwing a number. It should cost $50,000 to hire that company to come in. Yeah, but they pay them 2.7 million because they're friends with the politicians. And that's how this entire system works. Neglect, send the bribes elsewhere, launder the money, funnel it back to ourselves. Oops, disasters happen. Now we need to print more money to fix these disasters. You need us. Here, we'll fix everything. Hey, let's hire Johnny's restoration business. That's my cousin. And we'll just, and they'll make the invoices triple, quadruple what they're supposed to be to hide the bribes, to hide the money laundering. And it never ends until we get rid of all these people. Look, I know I just kind of rambled there. I hope you were able to follow my rambling a little bit. I'm unscripted. I don't write shit down. I just run my mouth. I'm a yapper. If you like yappers, then you found the right guy because I'm a yapper. But if I was to write this down and clearly articulate to someone who's too stupid to follow my ramblings, then I'll do that if that's what you need me to do. But if you understood my rambles and everything that I just said, then do the things, hit the buttons. This video is over. I didn't even slide no memes in here. I wasn't being funny about nothing. This is too serious. I'm not in the mood to laugh, to be honest with you, because this shit is disgusting. So if you like this one, I'll be back with another one real soon. Press the buttons, do the things.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.